All right, guys, welcome to the Vishtradez discipline model for 2025. These are going to be strategies that I'm implementing based on time and also based on price that are going to elevate my game for 2025. And I've already been implementing these in the last week and, a little bit of December, but we know how December price action was. And I'm going to be using these for all of 2025 just because I believe that it's going to help me seek consistency in which profitability follows. So let's get right into it. First off, sizing. In the Asia session, y'all know I like to live stream that and I like to trade it. So, Asia session, my max sizing will be 10 micros. I do prefer every trade to be with 10 micros, but sometimes I'll just use 5 depending on how volatile it is. But 10 micros, just because the Asia session is known to be less volatile than the AM New York session. And 10 micros is equivalent to a full contract, except the thing is I like to use 10 micros so I can strategically take off like partials when we reach certain liquidity, like engineered buy side, engineered sell side, things like that. Even if we're retracing to like the new day or new week opening gap. And what's funny about this last week, we had a new year opening gap. So yeah, but on the New York session, I'm going to be using 3 to 7 micros just because of how volatile it's been lately, and I've noticed the market conditions are probably going to be crazy, especially considering Trump's going to be coming into office soon. So that's definitely going to be driving a lot of price action, very haywire. So that's why 3 to 7 micros, seven's going to be my max. I don't want to exceed it, and if I do, then you can probably expect a blown account. So that's why we're sticking to that 3 to 7 micros, and I'm gonna have to stick by my word. So yeah. When exactly can I trade? When are the timings? The only timings I'm going to be trading. Everything else is going to be tape reading or back testing. Asia session, 6:30 to 9:30 p.m. That gives me 3 hours of trading there. And typically, I'm not actually just going to be trading for the full 3 hours, but I am going to be watching my charts from 6 to 6:30. Then 6:30 onwards, it's going to be trade hunting potentially, or just being patient and waiting. The New York AM session, I'm going to be trading from 11 to 10:30 a.m. and that allows me to watch what unfolds in the opening range and also what unfolds, even before market open. So that gives me like a lot of and really I'm implementing these rules to kind of develop patience within myself and so that I can, do more watching than actual trading. And so I do actually lock myself out. The last week I've locked myself out until 10 a.m. and it honestly made me a lot more patient of a trader. I'm looking at better setups honestly, and you'll still find good setups after 9:30, in the New York session or after 10 o'clock. You don't have to trade 9:30 to 10. Although I do know there's so many traders who are profitable doing that, but for me it's just the amount of accounts that I've blown, just trading that opening range, feeling that FOMO, like that's something that I want to avoid. I don't want to just necessarily escape the pain of doing that, but escape the aftermath of like blowing the account or even just chasing price and not actually taking a good trade out of like good habits, but rather taking a trade out of FOMO and a very wide stop loss. So yeah, that's when I'm going to be trading. So why exactly am I implementing this? I'm going to be able to avoid blowing accounts, combines, XFAs, whatnot. I'm going to be able to avoid blowing those just a lot easier. I know that with 3 to 7 micros, as I said in my sizing right here, 3 to 7 micros, like it's pretty hard to blow an account unless you're just over trading the shit out of it. If you're trading 3 to 7 micros every single day, especially on Asia session, like not exceeding 10 micros is very nice as well. So I'm going to be able to strategically just avoid blowing accounts. This is going to be my edge, basically. My market edge is my sizing and my patience. Also, like obviously, like the ICT strategy as a whole, like that's going to be my market edge. But I feel like I have ICT down a little bit. Like I'm going to be using it, and I've been using it for almost like 8 or 9 months now. But it's just my psychology needs to be strengthened, and these rules will definitely help that. Now I also get to avoid being chopped up in the opening range. So as I said, I want to see 9:30 to 10 a.m. Eastern timing. I want to see it unfold. I want to see the market open, do its thing. Um, I want to see how we use the first presented fair value gap, how price reacts to that first presented fair value gap, and then how we can target liquidity after and things like that. And even if there is liquidity swept in the first 30 minutes, like there's still going to be opportunities for the rest of the day if we're not like on a no news Monday or no news Friday or something like that. So yeah, And altogether, this allows me to do more tape reading. And tape reading is an essential part of my game. I get to school at like 7:30, and I'm literally sitting on the markets all the way until market open. So that kind of like that tape reading, pre-market tape reading, literally builds my narrative before the market opens. So it's pretty beneficial. But allowing for more that extra 30 minutes of waiting, because if you are seeing no volatility from pre-market and then all of a sudden market open, you see like these 80-point candles, 100-point candles, then like obviously you're going to feel that FOMO because you haven't seen that in the last 2 hours of tape reading. But when you wait for that extra 30 minutes, it kind of like, okay, I'm not freaking out over this. I'm not feeling any FOMO, and I'm ready to trade with a clear mind. And that's the benefits of tape reading. Tape reading is extremely essential in my opinion. And then 10 a.m. news, like obviously like I get to, trade after that 10 a.m. news candle. There's a lot of 10 a.m. news typically. At least like maybe one or two per week. So I get to trade after that. It's a kind of minor thing, but it's like more preferable. Like why trade in the opening range when there's literally news at the end of that opening range? And then finally, seeking consistency and profitability will follow. And what I mean by seeking consistency and profitability following is that people kind of idolize profitability. They kind of idolize the idea of being able to make money on your own. But if you're consistent, then you won't have to worry about being profitable. And so seeking consistency is like a big part of my goal this 2025 is like being consistent in my sizing, being consistent in my time-wise trading, and being consistent in the models that I'm using. All like 2024 is kind of my experimentation year where I experimented with indicators, I experimented with different currencies, I experimented with like a lot of different ICT related things, and I've kind of narrowed it down to like order blocks, FVGs, first presented stuff, new week, new day, opening gaps. And honestly, like I'm spewing a bunch of words, but this is literally the sauce, like literally like paying attention to the opening range, buy side, sell side, like all of this. So if I'm consistent with the model, if I'm consistent with my sizing, if I'm consistent with my discipline, then profitability is a byproduct, and that's ultimately what we're seeking. But it's ultimately a byproduct of consistency. So yeah. And any plans for 2025, I probably will be opening up a Discord soon, by the end of January hopefully, and I'm also going to be live streaming the Asia session more often. I kind of fell off with that, but the thing is, I honestly like the Asia sessions we've had lately. They've been pretty very good price action. Like the first 2 days of the new year, I didn't live stream the first Asia session of the new year, but I did hit a 60+ point trade on it, which made me over 1,000. And yeah, I think more live streams, Discord, and more educational posts just like this. And hopefully let me know if you implement this model as well, or you take any lessons from this about like the opening range and things like that. But ultimately the goal for 2025 is this word right here, consistency. So yeah, thank you for watching, and I wish you all the best this year in 2025. Hopefully this year is your year, and I hope you get what you want from it and just remain grateful throughout. Thank you.